Well, my journey through all of the Star Wars theatrical movies continues with Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, otherwise known as the watchable prequel. The good prequel. And I say that because even through episodes 1 and 2, Revenge of the Sith feels legitimately like the story George Lucas really wanted to tell the audience. He wanted to really show us how Anakin Skywalker embraced the dark side and becomes the one known as Darth Vader. And this movie shows you that and so much more. See, by this point, it's been 3 years since the Clone Wars began, and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker rescue Chancellor Palpatine from General Grievous, the commander of the droid armies. And Grievous is such a cool character. Even Lindsay loves this guy to pieces. He just looks so cool, and every time I see that duel between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he pulls out 4 lightsabers out of his robotic arms, oh, you know shit's going down. But suspicions are starting to raise within the Jedi Council concerning Chancellor Palpatine, with who Anakin has formed a bond. Anakin is asked to spy on the Chancellor, and he's full of bitterness towards the Jedi, who really don't see him as anything more than being beneath Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, this movie turned 20 years old this year, and unfortunately I didn't get to see this one on the big screen in celebration of it. But man, I mean, every single time I revisit Revenge of the Sith, I'm just hit with not only this big burst of nostalgia for my childhood, I'm also hit with a bit of nostalgia even after high school. See, one of my buddies was in the Marine Corps, and every single time he came home, he and his family would have this big gigantic barbecue. And traditionally at that barbecue, there would be one Star Wars movie playing. And usually more often than not, 99% of the time, it was Revenge of the Sith. And shout out to my buddy Kevin, who would drunkenly quote Revenge of the Sith as the movie was playing. "You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you! You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them!" I may be getting ahead of myself with that one, but I have way too much fun quoting that even. Now, even though I've already had a lot of glowing things to say about Revenge of the Sith, it's not a perfect movie by any stretch. You still do have a lot of stupid things about the prequels that we all hate live within this movie as well. For instance, Hayden Christenson's performance isn't as emotionally riveting as you might expect, especially with how Shakespearean-level drama-heavy this story is. There's times where it just feels like he's not really selling it. And and there's certain serious moments where you just can't help but laugh at. I'll give you a prime example, as dark as this may sound. When Anakin goes to kill all those little Jedi children, "What are you doing with the lightsaber, Master Skywalker?" Yeah, you could tell who was writing this, right? And listen, I can sit here and pick apart Revenge of the Sith to death. Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine, even though he gives a very solid performance, there's a couple of really dumb things that really boggle my mind about Palpatine in this. First of all, his lightsaber battles are not as exciting as I would have thought. Probably because Ian McDiarmid's facial expressions are super ultra distracting. And what Ian McDiarmid is doing facially does not match what his stunt performer is doing. It just looks stupid. And I know, yeah, I'm going to be jumping around quite a bit with these Star Wars reviews, and I'm hitting all the points that I really want to hit. But I have to talk about this. Like, this is just the thing that really bugs me about Revenge of the Sith. Probably above everything else. When Palpatine is electrocuting Mace Windu and he starts to get deformed himself, right before Anakin thrusts Mace Windu out the window, presumably to his death. Number one, Anakin seems to pledge his allegiance to Palpatine pretty quickly. And it feels very abrupt, like it's almost like he's running an errand for this man rather than, oh, I'm going to change my entire way of living. I pledge myself to your teachings. Like, there could have been so much more gravity there. And did you guys notice, not one time does Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine really react to how deformed his face now is. It's almost like, oh yes, I expected to become this Master Sith of the dark side. And I expect it to be ugly. Yeah, there's really no change or any sort of like, oh my god, my face is deformed. I'm gonna look like this forever. Nothing like that. And I will also say the chemistry is better between Christenson and Natalie Portman as Padme in this. Also, as a prequel, you kind of have to link it up to the main saga and the main trilogy. So we learn that Padme is pregnant, and Anakin doesn't really have the best reaction to it. He's not really that receptive to that idea, especially when he's seeing visions of Padme dying in birth. But hey, you gotta get Luke and Leia into the saga somehow, right? But honestly, that's a lot of my negatives out of the way, because Revenge of the Sith really does have a lot to admire. First of all, thank God that it seems like they're actually shooting on practical Star Wars sets this time. Seeing Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi walking around on what looks like a real spaceship as opposed to CGI backdrops. Thank you! And just so much build-up to that eventual climax where we do see Anakin embrace the dark side. And the betrayal that Obi-Wan Kenobi feels once he learns that Anakin was behind all that child slaughter. Ewan McGregor is so good in Revenge of the Sith. I know a lot of people laugh at the lava planet sequence.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
He, to me, is the highlight of Revenge of the Sith performance-wise. Ewan McGregor is awesome.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
And he's really good in the action sequences too, man. As choreographed as that lava planet sequence in the finale might be, you still have that really freaking badass General Grievous duel. And yeah, I know I talked a little bit about him earlier, but man, I wish we got more of General Grievous in these prequels. This guy is so cool. You want to know what else I really freaking love about Revenge of the Sith? The scenes between Anakin and Palpatine before Anakin pledges his allegiance to the Sith teachings. That opera house sequence might be the most interesting scene in the entire prequel trilogy. How Palpatine is basically telling this story to Anakin. How he's manipulating this young man into basically replicating his lifestyle as a Sith. This is just super, super compelling, guys. If you don't want to know what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen Revenge of the Sith, you probably know what the Opera House sequence is, and you probably know the importance of the Opera House sequence to the entire Skywalker saga. They had to hit a home run with that sequence, and man, did they. At least I think so. I also think they hit a home run with how this third act was structured. You have the final battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin on the lava planet, as I've referred to many times, and it ends up with Anakin having both of his legs chopped off and him being burnt to a crisp. All while Obi-Wan finds the higher ground and yells out what I said earlier. You also have a battle in the Senate chamber between Yoda and Palpatine. Now this sounds like a dream battle. And even still looking at it, yeah, there's a couple of stupid little CGI looking sequences here, but it's still very fun to watch. And you also kind of feel bad for Yoda in the sense because he doesn't really get the best of the Emperor here. And when Yoda does go into exile on Dagobah, you kind of understand a part of the reason why he can't best the Emperor here. Part of it may be humiliation, I don't know. But you also have the haunting parallel going on between the birth of three of the iconic characters from the original trilogy. The birth of Darth Vader is just so awesome to look at. And hearing James Earl Jones's voice finally as Darth Vader in this prequel trilogy was a sight and a sound to behold. James Earl Jones, rest in peace. I'm going to go more in depth with you in the original trilogy, but it was so nice to hear it. Even as stupid as the George Lucasism was at the end, when he realizes that Padme is in fact dead. No! Dumb. Dummy dumb. But the parallel of the birth of Darth Vader comes with the birth of Luke and Leia. Turns out that Padme is carrying twins. And she dies not from childbirth, but from a broken heart. Which, I don't know, does that seem a bit too Disney-fied for you? Disney hadn't bought Lucasfilm around this point in 2005 yet, did they? Yeah, I didn't think so. But this is where you kind of get the links to the original trilogy. As I said, Yoda exiles himself onto Dagobah. Obi-Wan Kenobi is looking after Luke, who is living with his aunt and uncle on Tatooine. Leia goes to live with General Organa, and Darth Vader joins Palpatine as they stand side by side, looking at a Death Star under construction. Guys, even though Revenge of the Sith does have a couple of glaring issues that I just can't ignore, which comes with the territory. This is a Star Wars prequel, after all. This is easily, far and away, the best of the three Star Wars movies I've talked to you guys about so far. It is the best of the prequel trilogy. It still gives me such a huge kick in the ass worth of nostalgia. It is so much fun to watch. I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith a B+. Yeah, loads of fun to be had. This is more like it. This is the Star Wars I like. But let me know what you think. Do you guys have nostalgia with Revenge of the Sith? Did you go see the 20th anniversary in theaters? If you did, lucky bastards. But guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new and tap on that thumbs up as well. I'm going to get to the original Star Wars trilogy when I can, but I think there's 2 anthology movies that come in between, don't they? Yeah, let's talk about Solo and Rogue One while we're at it as well. I can't wait to get to those as well. and lots of fun topics as the summer season starts to heat up here. Thank you guys so much again for your continued support and continuing to come back and talk all things movies with me. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.